What up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Matt Wyatt. So I recently went out to go see one of my most anticipated film of the year, and it's Joker 2, and it's returning director by Todd Phillips himself, which you may have known him that he directed a lot of these R-rated raunchy comedy movies like Road Trip, Old School, and the Hangover trilogy, which the Hangover movie was the movie that really set his career as a filmmaker. But when he directed the first Joker film back in 2019, I loved it coming out of that film. I love the whole idea about the whole psychological character study, and it's played by Joaquin Phoenix himself, who is struggling with society, that he's a broken man, and that society had failed him. They treated him like trash, and they didn't know what to deal with him, and it set him over the edge. And and I thought it really worked. I thought it was so great to explore the mind of a psychopath who is mentally ill and delusional. In all of his life, he's been wanting to be loved by everyone in the world in his life, but everyone he comes across with, he's dealt with the harsh reality and everybody treating him like trash. And it really set him off. Even his own adopted mother. And he was a man with no identity because later in the film, in the first movie, he had no identity. He was adopted by his own mom, and he's been abused by her boyfriends throughout his childhood, and it really messed him up very badly. So he got rid of everyone that held him back over the years, and he's embracing the chaos and embracing being the psychopath, which is Joker. And I thought that worked in the film, and it was a masterpiece. And yeah, most people say that this was a complete ripoff from the King of Comedy and Taxi Driver that was directed by Scorsese himself, which originally he wanted to direct this Joker film. And I believe that Leonardo DiCaprio was supposed to be the front runner to play that character, but then he like stepped away. He turned it down because he was busy directing his passion project called The Irishman that is streaming on Netflix. So they went and got Todd Phillips to do it, and they got Joaquin Phoenix to play a Joker. He won an Academy Award for Best Actor, which was very well deserved. Because I knew from the start when I saw the screen test video when they were promoting the movie before its release, I knew right then and there that he was going to win an Oscar, and my prediction came true. And I thought he deserved it, and he was amazing. So with this movie, Joker 2, I was not like a fan of at first when they were announcing another Joker movie, but it was no surprise because this movie made $1 billion at the box office. It became the highest grossing R-rated film and R-rated comic book movie of all time before Deadpool and Wolverine came out. And it was so overwhelming, and the studio had did not expect this to be this successful, but it turns out it did. And the studio demanded that they wanted to have another one, and they wanted to get Todd Phillips to come back to direct it. They wanted to get Joaquin Phoenix to return as Joker, even though that they had no intention to do another one because this movie was made as a one-off story and it was made to be labeled as DC Elseworlds. That is completely outside of the DCU's continuity. It's nowhere near connected to anything, and it's a movie that was made without a Batman character in it. So as time went on, I went with an open mind, and you know what? If they have a good script and a good idea, if they want to take this for the sequel, then I'm all for it. And Joaquin Phoenix came back for a reason, and it must be something good. Then they cast Lady Gaga, who is playing the Harley Quinn version of that character. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this can work. Maybe they can develop a great love story between the two of them. And they said there were going to be musical numbers, but Todd Phillips said that this is not a musical film. But after seeing the movie, it was definitely a musical film. But I'll get into that later. So Joker 2 is taking place a couple of years after the events of the first one. And now that Arthur Fleck is incarcerated in a mental state hospital in Arkham Asylum while he's being put on trials for the five murders, and then later meets up with the love of his life, and it was played by Lady Gaga, who is obsessed with him and wants to be with him because of the image that he put out a couple of years ago as Joker, and that's where the story is taking place. I was very hyped for this movie. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, look at when time went on and I saw the trailers and I was like, maybe they got something special and it looks promising. And the love story between the two of them looks like it's gonna be definitely a top tier. And and once I went to go see the IMAX fan event screening at AMC, and they were handing out the posters, and it got me more and more hyped. But then after coming out of the theater, I'm not gonna lie that I was very disappointed by Joker 2. I'm not going to say that this is one of the worst films that they have ever made. There are a few people that I've heard that said it was the worst sequel they have ever done, even for people who had loved the first Joker movie. But I myself thought it was pretty good, but I felt like it felt like it kind of fell on its face by the end of the movie. Like the musical numbers, especially as much as I really enjoyed some of the musical numbers and the choreography that they did, because the musical numbers is focusing on the psychological through Arthur Fleck's mind, and he uses it as an escape from the harsh reality that he is living in right now, and he's fantasizing of being with Harley Quinn. And I thought that that really worked for most parts, but then most of the musical numbers got interrupted and it didn't really tell the story at all. If you would have taken out of most of the musical numbers, I think it would have been a more better movie. And Lady Gaga, who's playing this variation of Quinn, sort of, but she's mostly a character that is just obsessed with him and only loved him because of his own image that she saw on TV, and she wants to encourage him to embrace this Joker. And she's basically a more of a psycho stalker, a groupie basically. And I felt like her story didn't really go anywhere. I mean, sure they had a lot of character backstory of her, but at the end of the day, the love story between her and Joaquin Phoenix kind of felt very bland and pointless to me. And I did not like how they've executed it. I mean, you had such a great idea how to do it and go bold and go nuts with it, but it didn't go anywhere for me. I mean, I will say that the one we explore him in an Arkham Asylum was very rough to see, and it almost felt like we're watching One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the one with the Jack Nicholson film that was one of the most biggest beloved film, and I felt like they kind of did something similar to that, and it kind of went for the version of the musical numbers as for like the La La Land style. But you know, but most of the songs are not really original. They're mostly cover songs, basically. The few things that I really liked about the film, and I'm going to get the positives out the way first. I love the performance of Joaquin Phoenix. I thought he did the best he could to act his ass off, even though he wasn't given the best material, but he still is incredible. Do I think he should win this Oscar for this performance? No. Because I feel like we've already seen this before, and I thought Lady Gaga did the best she could to pull off her performance, and I still consider her as a really good actress. I just wish that she's been in better roles, but this is not one of them, in my opinion. Not that she didn't crush it with her singing it in the musical number; she did great with it, and especially the choreography. And I was very impressed by the single shot that Todd Phillips did, because there was a few scenes in the movie that they did a single shot take, and I thought it was very impressive. The cinematography was incredible. The color palette and that whole Technicolor thing really popped up and it made me glued to the screen. And the music score continues to crush it. It was brought back from the first Joker that I loved, and I thought the theme really worked for most parts. But other than that, the writing and the direction kind of fell flat to me. Because when we explored the first half of him being incarcerated in an Arkham asylum, it was good for most parts. But then when we get to the second half, it felt like we were now exploring a court drama when he's being put on trial for the five murders that he committed. And basically, they're just recapping of what happened in the events of the first one. They didn't really do enough to do a character growth of Arthur Fleck, even though that he killed that part of himself from that identity in the first one. That was the whole villain's journey of him becoming failed comedian and becoming a psychopath Joker. I'm not trying to say that he should be like a criminal mastermind, because that's not what Todd Phillips intended to do. He never intended for him to be the criminal mastermind comic book Joker that we know and love, kind of like with Jack Nicholson's Joker or Heath Ledger's Joker and so on. But this one, I just felt like they should have done a little bit more. It almost felt like that Todd Phillips just kind of phoned it in, but tried to do the best he could and didn't know what else to do with them, because the first movie was made to be a one-off story, and he kind of got like forced back into this world again and tried to work with the sequel. And the court scene just really didn't go anywhere. And there's a one minor spoiler from a one character that got revealed of one of the DC characters, and it's Harvey Dent, who's the district attorney who's going up against Arthur Fleck on trial. And he kind of went nowhere. There was no character development with him whatsoever. He was just kind of there. And I felt like they just slapped the name Harvey Dent to get that little nod in Easter egg to the audience that are Batman fans. And I did not like that. I mean, you could have gotten any generic district attorney and it wouldn't have changed anything. His character didn't go in any direction. And that ending, I wasn't so sure at first when I watched the ending and how they wrapped it up. And the more I think about it, I'm more pissed off of how they wrapped it up. It kind of diminishes of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker's character arc for me. It kind of felt like they tried to devolve him back into being Arthur again, and that he's struggling with a dual identity. From what his attorney, that one who is representing him, telling him that he's been sick, he's mentally ill, they treated him like trash, and he went through off the edge, and he's dealing with a dual identity. That was not all Arthur, it was all Joker, and that's the kind of concept that they wanted to tackle in, and I didn't really like that. That's just my opinion, but overall, it was kind of one of the most disappointing movies I've seen so far. I'm not gonna say that this is one of the worst films I've ever seen. I think it had some redeemable qualities and it had something in it, but it kind of just fell on its face. I understand that he wanted to swing for the fences and take a chance and go a little bit different and bold, but I just didn't think it really paid off by the end. And it almost felt to me like more of a Joker, the first Joker movie that is more of an epilogue story instead of a true sequel. My final verdict for this movie right now, my first impression, I'm going to give this rating a 6.5 out of 10. So that's just me being given a little bit of a generous rating. I just thought it was okay at its best. I don't think it was on the level like Madam Web Bad or Borderlands or any of the movies I've seen this year that were terrible. No, it had some redeemable qualities, but it just did not do it well. And if you're going to go out and see this movie, which I personally, I would not encourage you to rush out to go see it right away in the theater. I mean, even though I did enjoy the experience of watching it on an IMAX screen, it was beautiful to watch. I only watched this movie once, and I would probably have no intention of watching this movie again. I would rather go back and watch the first one because the first film from beginning to end was perfect, and it should have left it alone right then and there. But you know what? It is what it is because when studios demand a sequel, they're gonna do it, and regardless, because it was very successful. And I don't really see this doing well, especially it had mixed critical receptions, and some people are not going to be excited for this new Joker. But I will say that if you're going to go and see Joker 2, subvert your expectations, keep it as low as possible. Because if your expectation is super high and you're expecting more, you're going to walk out very disappointed. And it's not going to be the Harley Quinn Joker storyline that you're expecting. You're going to be let down, to be honest with you. Now, have you seen Joker 2? What did you think of this movie? Did you love it more than I did? Or are you on the same boat with me and thought you were very disappointed and it didn't live up to the hype? Let me know your take in the comment section below. And look, all film is subjective. I'm not here to tell you that you should not love the movie. If you still want to go out and see this in the theater, then do it. Go for it. Personally, I wouldn't recommend it, but you know what? If you love Joker 1 and you want to give it a chance, then by all means go for it. But I will warn you, keep the expectations low. Subvert your expectations. That's my big advice to you. And let me know your take if you've seen the movie in the comment section below and why you liked it or why you dislike it. And be respectful and don't be rude. That's all I gotta say. And thank you so much for watching my video. If you really enjoy this review, make sure you hit the like button. It helps the algorithm a little bit. And subscribe to my channel for more of my content. My goal is to reach 500 subscribers. If you want to follow my social media links, the link tree will be down in the description down below. Thank you guys for watching my video. I hope you guys have a great day, great evening, wherever you're from, and stay tuned for more of my content.